Hello, good evening, good evening. Okay, please, if you are here and you are live, let me know if you're with us on LinkedIn or Instagram. I seem to not be live. Okay, it says I'm live on. Okay, let's see. Aha, awesome. Yeah. So it's time for C Suite Speak with the Happy Employee Coach. Good evening, good evening. Trust you are doing well. How has October been? Someone said to me today in the office that eh, this month is running, and I said I couldn't agree more. The month is actually running, running. Okay, if you are on LinkedIn, let's know if you're there. Tell us one thing about your day that you're grateful for. Tell us one thing about your day that you are grateful for. Tell us one thing about your day that you're grateful for. If you're on LinkedIn, let's know. Let's know. Are you on LinkedIn? What is happening? What's something about your day you're excited about? Okay. I see we're live on LinkedIn and I think we're also live on Instagram. Please join in. Repost so that other people can join and we can learn together. It is about to go. Yep. We are live. Another opportunity to learn from career powerhouses. The beautiful thing about stories is that there's always different perspectives and there's so much you can learn from people's stories. That's why I'm so grateful that I get to be the host of C Suite Speaks. I'm so grateful for that. I don't even joke about it. I don't take it as a joke. I don't take it as something, I don't take it lightly. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I don't take it lightly at all that I've been charged with this. Yeah, I call it being charged with this work of teaching people, right? And sharing, experiences. It's such a beautiful assignment, and I don't take it for granted. LinkedIn, Instagram, let's know where you're joining us from. Are you in Lagos? Where are you? Let's know. Let's know where you're joining us from. I'm just trying to make sure that we are live on all our platforms before I bring our guest on, right? Is something that I want to make sure that we are all live. We are live on all the platforms, across the platforms. It looks like we are. It looks like we are live. So welcome. It is episode 10, and episode 10, I dare say, season one episode. You know how they do the shows and podcasts. Episode 10, season one, the last episode in season one of the C Suite Speak with the Happy Employee Coach. Absolutely excited to be here this evening. Absolutely grateful, like I've been saying, for the opportunity, right, to do this, to host leaders across markets, across industries, and teach them and share with you their stories. So I'm going to bring up our guests soon. But if you're on LinkedIn or Instagram, I was just asking, what's up with your day? What's up with your day? What's up with October? How's October been for you? What's happening? Right. So what we do is C-Suite Speak, or let me introduce myself. If you're meeting me for the first time, I'm the Happy Employee Coach, or if you've met me before, introduction is still okay. I'm the Happy Employee Coach, and what I do is teach people to be happy at work. And there are two levers I pull to help people to be happy at work. One is helping them to frame the relationship with their managers, and the other is showing them how to maximize salary, how to make the most of that dough that comes, right? Because I am tired of meeting people who tell me that I've worked for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Why didn't I meet you all this while, Neka? No, I want less of those stories. I want more people who would say to me, thank God I met you. Now I'm doing things right. I'm doing things differently. Okay, so what we do with C-Suite Speak is that we bring leaders so that we can learn from leaders. We can learn from people who have gone before us, right, and who have charted a beautiful career, who have experienced growth in their career, right, is what we do with C-Suite Speak. And we go live every Tuesday as much as possible, either 7:30 or 8 p.m. It depends on the guest and their schedule. We've gone live on Thursdays before, to be honest, because again, our guests are very, very busy people, right? And catching them can be, quite some work. So sometimes we go live, on Thursdays, or it just depends on their schedule. All right. So today we have a powerful powerhouse. Yeah, maybe not pun intended, but so it came out, right? And we're going to be gleaning from our guest experience in her career, her decade-long career. She's going to be joining us soon, right? And we're going to have a very interesting chat. Last week we had, I think I got maybe 1.5 pages worth of, of wisdom. Yes, 1 page plus of wisdom. I got 1 page plus of wisdom last week. In fact, I got answer to a personal question I had been looking for an answer to. Just right off the bat, the first two sentences our guest gave, I had answers and I was like, what? Awesome stuff. I was so grateful that I went live because that Tuesday I was triple exhausted and I was like, can I do this? But I'm grateful I did. And hey, here we are, right, today. So, our guest should join soon. I'm just going to check that she has the link and she's good to go. Um, yes. So, last one of the things that I learned from C Suite Speak is that you have to be intentional to unlearn that you can be in a role so long, right? And you get so stuck in the cycle of routine that you forget how to learn. That thing is very serious. So that you can actually forget how to learn. You can actually forget because you're doing a job. Our guest was talking about how he spent the first 2 years or so as a customer service agent, the guys that take the calls at the call center agent, right? And how many people who leave that role or don't leave that role early just get stuck because they just get used to feeding just from doing the same thing over and over and over again. And how that you have to be intentional to say, I am going to learn. I am going to learn. One of the things he also said was, don't look at the past, right? Don't look at the past. The future is a sea of opportunities. All right. So that's me sharing lessons from last week. The video is on my page, and we have our guest in the building. Hey, so good to see you, Dr.
Yeah.
Omotola.
Can you hear
Um,
me?
it's a bit low, so if you can give us a
Okay.
bit more volume, it will help.
Okay. Can you hear me? I'm trying to see how I
Yes,
can. It's better now. Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
yes,
Awesome. All
awesome.
right. So we're good. Thank you.
Yay! Thank
I'll
you,
mute
thank
for
you,
now.
thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you, thank you. No, you're welcome. We're just waiting for you to join, and then we're just gonna get started. All right. So thank you so much for doing this. I don't take it for granted at all. I'm very grateful. Like I mentioned, what we are doing at the Happy Employee Company with C-Suite Speak is essentially storytelling. Stories are powerful. Paint a picture of the future, but they help us find an anchor in the person's yesterday. So when I hear your story, I can see something about what my future can look like. But in hearing where you're coming from, I can find an anchor in your yesterday, meaning I can see similarities, I can see commonalities that make me say, okay, if this person that I'm looking at with all the glitz and glam is here, there's hope for me. And what I found interesting in the episodes we've done so far is that even there's peer-to-peer learning going on. I've said to all our guests that I started doing this because I thought, oh, let me find a way to give back to younger people. But honestly, I will be honest with you, sis, I have been the first beneficiary. Every time we come on live, I am frantically typing and taking notes and learning. I was just reminding the audience that last week, I should add the other device to the stream. Should I? Have a second device.
Yes. I'm
I
still
should add
trying to
it to the
figure
stream.
which one is better.
Oh,
So
okay.
add the two. I want to find out which one has a better camera, better audio, so that I give my
Okay.
best.
Okay. So I have added so that we know, but the video is not on for that one. So let's see.
Trying to turn it on.
Okay.
Funny enough, I've also been struggling with that. I don't know why it's not coming on. So I might just have to stick to the first one.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's. But you are very clear. We can see you clearly, and your audio is
Okay,
good as well. So
okay,
I think
that's fine.
we're good
So
to
we'll
go.
stick to this. Yeah.
Okay. So I was saying that, for me, I have learned a lot in the process. So I'm even wondering, is it really because of others that I'm doing this, or is it for myself? Because I started with thinking it was for the younger generation, but I have pages of notes every time we go live and we talk with a guest. So welcome to C-Suite Speak with the Happy Employee Coach, Dr. Omotola, EOD. Thank you very much for saying
Thank
yes to
you.
this invitation.
Thank you.
And I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, right? And like I said, the whole idea is tell us about you on the pillars that matter to you. So some people come and they tell us how when they start working and their journey today. Some people just stick with where they are today and the various hats they wear. Whichever one works for you. We want to learn from your story. That's what we're here to do. So I yield the floor to you. Let's meet who is Dr. Omotola.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, sis. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone who's joining, wherever you're joining from in the world. My name is Dr. Motola, as has been rightly introduced. I wear so many hats, and before I even start to introduce myself, I'm super grateful. Thank you so much for having me, Neka. You're one amazing sis that you're just in every corner. I think our journey has been like 4 5 years,
Yes.
and you're just someone who is in my corner and in my space. And there's so much we're doing, sharing each other up, cheering each other on, rather.
Mm.
You're so much involved in the things I do as well, and I don't take that for granted. So thank you for having me. I'm always happy and glad to share my story, because for me, when I started my impact journey about 5 years ago, it was that I was learning so much from people who had gone ahead of me, and I felt it would be a disservice to not give up other people the opportunity to also learn from me as well. I've had to fail forward in different ways. I've had to learn bittersweet lessons. There are certain things that I had to learn myself. Nobody told me. So why won't we give the younger generation the opportunity to also learn from us? So it's a really great, amazing work that you're doing. The universe is thankful. I'm thankful. And I could very much relate with when you said you invite people because you want to help others. And you yourself, you're like the most impacted person in the room. I have lived that, I've experienced that in my own space as well. Sometimes you don't realize that there's still so much to learn until you open up floors like this and hear from other people, and then at the end of the day you are leaving really charged. So thank you. My name, as I said earlier, is Dr. Matala Da. I'm called many things. I'm called the talent builder, I'm called coach, I'm called doctor, I'm called different things, but I wear a couple of hats. In my 9 to 5, I'm the head of HR at Sterling Financial Holdings. In my 5 to 9, I do a billion other things in my 5 to 9. I lead a community called the HR Talent Hub. The HR Talent Hub is also many things to many people. It's an HR community for HR professionals, aspiring and active HR professionals. It's also a learning and capacity building platform for HR professionals. Like I said, it's a consulting firm for businesses, small and large businesses. We have a lot of clients that we've worked with. So that's on the HR practice side. So I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, I'm an HR leader. So when I'm not working at Sterling Financial Holdings, I'm running my own HR consulting practice, and I'm also um, working as a certified coach as well. So I'm a certified coach, a leadership and career coach. So I coach a lot of people and I mentor a lot of people. I do that through the my other expression called Career Leap with Omotola DA. LEAP stands for Launch, Enhance, Accelerate, and Pivot. So we meet career professionals at different stages of their career journey and offer the support and guidance that they need to navigate their current phase in their career. I also sit on a couple of boards with different organizations. And then when I'm not doing all that, I'm speaking at a conference or sharing time, like now that I'm with NECA. And when I'm not doing all of that, I'm with my family. I'm happily married with 3 children. My husband, Dayo Adedako. I'm spending time with them. So that's a bit about me. I like to say that, so, talking about how I manage to juggle many hats. One of the most frequent questions I get is, how do I do it? I'm working 9 to 5. I'm consulting. I'm found. It's when you have an HR community. No, not even just when you have any community. Because I have two communities. I have the HR Talent Hub community, and I have the Career Leap with Omotola DA community. It is like a full-time job because different people in the community need your help. They're chatting you for advice. There's that, a community leader. There's me as a coach with my coaching clients. There's me as a mentor with my mentees. There's me with my clients as an HR consultant. So the most frequent question I get is, how do I do it? First of all, is um, I have a lot of God's grace. First of all, God has been really gracious. Every time for everything that I've done, I've to a very large extent received directly from Him to say, go and do this. Now, with all the things I do, I still have some things that He's telling me to say, you need to be in this space. You need to be
Hmm.
speaking in this space. And I'm like, okay, God, how am I supposed to add this to the plenty things I'm doing? And He says, has there ever been anything I told you to start that I didn't give you the grace and the strength to do? So I rely on 100%, 150% God as my source, as my strength. And I noticed that when God gives you a vision, He gives you provision, He gives you backing, He gives you strength, and you really don't have to do too much. I say this because when we had our very first physical event last year, and 2024 December, and we had 32 sponsors. Sometimes I still think about it and I'm like, wait, for a first event, for a physical event, how did I come about 32 sponsors? How did I come about speakers from 7 nations of the world? Like, is it that I'm very, is it that I've really built those networks and relationships? And, I just realized that at the end of everything, in between, God is just my source. There's also the bit where I ensure that I'm intentional about support systems. So, support systems at work, support systems at home, support systems in my consulting practice within the community. I work with volunteers a lot. And based on the kind of work that I do, I'm very big on impact. So, in the impact space, the community of people that want to be part of what I do continues to grow, and I leverage that, and we do so much together because in that they also have the opportunity to learn. But all of this getting here, just like we are here to talk about what was the journey like. um I think I mentioned earlier that I've seen my own fair dose of shege, and I've read your two books. Who is no Why My Boss Prefers My Colleague,
Yeah,
then Who Is
yeah.
Eating My Salad or
Who is
something.
using my salary? Yes.
It's a long time ago already, like maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Why does my boss prefer my colleague, and who is
Mhm.
using my salary? And I just love that you have that special niche to say a lot of people are working. And I usually say to career professionals that are facing toxicity, complaining about their bosses, first of all, my own perspective to that is, you're not a tree. You can move. Your career is in
Mhm.
your hand. You can determine the course of how you work with it. And I think that mindset is one of the most liberating things you can have. You're not stuck with any job as long as, I mean, you're only stuck on a job as long as you want to keep yourself there. And that's
Mm.
why when I received my impact, when I received my purpose identity as the talent builder, one of the reasons I stepped into that identity as the talent builder is helping more and more people realize their strength, realize their potential, and hone it so that they are no longer stuck with toxic bosses. Because
Mm.
we will continue to have toxic line managers if people don't realize that they have so much to offer on their job. And when they don't give themselves options, toxic managers, they fester in their toxicity because they believe that people don't have options. Where are you going? Even if I winch you, even if I call you at 3 a.m. in the night, you get angry, but you still come to work the next morning. You don't have a choice because you've not built that capacity to be able to up and leave at any time you so desire. But if we have more people who have invested in their personal growth, invested in their talent, they've built their talent, built capacity, and you are value adding on your job. And your boss knows that if I do any nonsense, the next organization is waiting to take you. It will be my loss. They would not. We will not have as many toxic bosses as we do. But people have been so complacent, so comfortable in their comfort zone, so not ready to do the extra. You tell someone to come and take a training or someone to come and, go through coaching, and in your head, I don't have time. My job is so demanding. And every time you ask, what are the pain points you have in your career? Is that, oh, I'm not enjoying my workplace. I'm not enjoying my boss is making me feel this and that. And when you have the opportunity to pursue things that give you an option, people still give themselves excuses to remain on the same spot. So at the end of the day, spending so much time with my coaching clients, coaches and mentees, there's just one thing I'm after, and the world would really be a better place if more and more people spend time building their talents. And I know that you might not be able to relate because in your career, you're one of those people who have had it really good. I wouldn't know the details, but you spent a long time in one organization, and that's because it's a great organization. For some of us, we have the reason I've worked in a couple of places, about 7 places in the last 15 years, and it's been like that because some of us, we tend to find ourselves on the go. So nobody hands you a template to say, oh, this is who you are, these are the mistakes you shouldn't make. This is so we are constantly evolving, constantly trying to find ourselves, constantly figuring it out as we go. I remember when I graduated from the university, I tried to get into Deloitte at the time. I remember I did NMPC, NLNG. I did like a couple of, big organizations because then at the time, if you get into those places, you know that you're secure, job security, they'll pay you well, you do well and all that. But I think one of the first things I learned quickly is you know what you want, right? But on the way to getting what you want, what do you have that you can work with at this time? So for me, it was about taking what was available and then that growing, building myself up from it. I graduated. I had my first degree was in microbiology. So if I say my story of how I even found HR to start with, I my first degree was in microbiology, and when I was in my first job, where I was a lab assistant at a uh, food processing company, because as a microbiologist, that was the first job I got. I discovered on that first job after 6 months, I mean, working there for 6 months, and I realized that I had made the biggest mistake of my life studying the course I did because my job was very routine. So my job was, no offense to microbiologists in the house. If you're in the house, God bless you, you're doing amazing, but it's just not for some of us. So I discovered myself and I said, you know what, I go to work and my job was very simple. I resume at work, take put on my PPE, my lab coat and all of that. I find my way to the production line. I take the sample of what was being produced that day. I take it back to the lab, run my test and analysis, use my reagents, find the look for microorganisms in the sample of what was produced that day, and then I write my report. And then I notice one thing. Once I get into, it was a very small cubicle, one very small place that they gave me within the lab, and I would report to my boss at the time. Number one, that cubicle was very small. I could hardly breathe. Once I enter into that cubicle, it's me and my microorganisms and my samples and my reagents. No other person. I can't even play around because you have to keep the place sterile. So you are focused on those samples that you're analyzing, the microorganisms you're looking for, and the report you are writing from 8 a.m. in the morning to 4:30 when we closed. I didn't interact with anyone. I didn't speak with anyone. That was not even the bad part. The bad part was every time I take those samples and I run that test, it was the exact same result every day for 6 months. And I realized I was doing the same thing Monday to Friday, week in, week out for 6 months. I said, I'm not going to live long like this. Is this what they say? Nobody told me this is what microbiology is. I
Oh
beg,
my
I beg, I can't
goodness.
deal.
Since you
I
don't live
can't
long
deal.
like this.
Number one, I don't have, once I enter the gate, the only people I see during the day are the people I greet on my way into my cubicle. Once I enter, I can't come out again until I'm going to the production line. And once I take those samples from the production line and I'm in my cubicle, I can't come out because I can't afford to what's that thing?
Contaminate.
Oh, bless you. I can't contaminate the samples that are. So I was stuck in my cubicle with my microorganisms every single day until I'm going home again. I said, What kind of job is I won't talk to anybody, I won't see anybody, I won't gist, I won't laugh, I won't interact, I won't solve real problems because I'm writing the same reports that don't change because the conditions of productions are not changing. The temperature is the same, the number of the water is the same, everything is the same. So the report will not change. So I felt like my intelligence and creativity was reducing by the day because I wasn't using it. I wasn't using my head for anything. So I felt like I was just a body, an extra body at work. Somebody were just counting that this is part of our staff. And that was the beginning of this. I have a very big, which is also what I teach to my coaches and mentees. That thing where when you're going to work every day, you and the people you work with should be able to say this is the value you have added today. Like they should feel your presence. Otherwise, you're just another person on the staff list. Like if you're not there. So in my head, the way I saw it was if I'm not there, another person will take the same process, run the same test, get the same result and report it. So I felt like, I don't know, it was a very, and that was me being very young. It was a very terrible feeling that I was doing something that didn't require my intelligence. So I felt like my intelligence was wasting. Why would I be working and just doing something they told me to do and I'm not applying anything from my mind, how I process it? And that was the beginning of me deciding that everywhere I worked, I was going to make a difference. I was going to solve a problem. I felt that it was important that when you're working at a place, you should
Mm.
be how they know you're adding values. They are constantly consulting you for answers to problems that they have, and you are constantly able to provide solutions to those problems. So I started asking a lot of questions. Also, I realized that I'm someone who's very great with numbers. I'm very good with people. And even as at far back as that then, I was life of the party. I loved engaging conversations. I loved bright atmosphere. I love colors. If you notice what I'm wearing, I love colors. I'm very bright. I'm very extroverted, very expressive. So why would I be mute? It's only introverts that can do that job that I do. Why would I be mute from morning to night? I want to be able to, learn from you, ask you questions. So that's how I found HR at the time, from asking a lot of questions, even though it still took me another 4 years to sort of get the dream job I wanted. And it's been an amazing ride. Now, I'm going to talk about my journey in different phases. The first phase of that journey was finding myself,
Mm.
discovering myself that for me to get a career that truly fulfills me, I need to be doing the right thing that matches my strengths, my skills,
Mm.
what I'm good at, what I love, what I'm passionate about. So I'm grateful to God that I was able to quickly make a U-turn. Despite having spent 5 years in university studying microbiology, I was able to quickly realize before it was too late that microbiology wasn't for me and I needed a career path that was for me. So I went for a master's at the University of Lagos at the time, 2013, and I enrolled for a master's in industrial and labor relations. 2 years later, I'd graduated, I'd done my CIPM, I'd done project management. So also for me at that time, trying to find myself, engaging with people, asking questions. So that's why what we're doing is really great because I was helped by those who understood the world of work, and in asking them what are the career options that match my personality. So finding myself was phase one. Now, having found myself, I found a job that I loved and I started to learn. Now, that was the second phase, spending time to truly understand my place in the career field that I was pursuing, taking time to truly learn. Now, many fresh graduates are all about the money. Money is not bad. Money is good because you will pay bills, you will enter bus, you will want to use the latest phone. You need money to survive. But I remember one time I took a pay cut because I had understood what I wanted. I was already in a multinational. I told you it took me 4 years to get an
Mhm.
HR job, even though I was actively pursuing an HR job. But one time I was working in a multinational company, it was in the market research firm. And because I was very intelligent, in less than a year, I had gotten a promotion. So I spent 13 months in that organization. And it was from that organization I got my first HR job. So it was a multinational present in 83 countries. I was working with very intelligent bosses. Everybody loved me. They were always giving me work. Now, the second phase I was talking about was I was always eager to take on stuff. Like when I see people that I don't know how to explain it. Why would you want to work at a place? Or why would you want to go to work and not work? Like, it sounds like I'm looking for a rhyme, but why would you want to go to work and you don't want to work? So you just want to go and mark register, collect salary at the end of the month. Because we came in as graduate trainees, about six of us at the time, and they were always constantly saying that they don't know where they got me from, that I'm just very different, because I would always want to be doing the things that my bosses were doing. I would always want to be saying, give me this thing, how can I learn it? It wasn't HR, it wasn't like I'd found what I wanted, but just that same mindset that says when you're in a place, you must be striving to add value. They must feel your presence. Nobody taught me these things, but it was just something that inherent. I knew that that had to be the way you work. It wasn't about 30 days make a pay. This ogata mentality. Yorubas will say, whether my boss sells, whether my boss does not sell, my salary will be complete. It irks me. So even at that very young age, in my early 20s, for me it was okay. I want to add value. So I would ask them to put me on a project that even people with 5 6 years experience in that organization were not interested in. So for me, it made me stand out very quickly from all my peers that we came in together as graduate trainees. Now, in the heat of that, I had gotten one promotion, my salary had been increased, I was looking at the next level, I was so promising. All of a sudden, my HR break finally came, and the opportunity, and for me was being able to identify that priceless opportunity at the time, not waiting for perfection. Remember, I said that for me, my philosophy at the time was, I know what I want, but on the way to getting what I want, what I have, I will take good use of it. So it felt like after 4 years, I was finally at a on a stable job. I did about like two small jobs before I got that one, but
Mm,
it now felt like I wanted to balance. I could now really balance. I was now
mm,
on my way to growing in a multinational firm. Guess what? The HR that I'd been looking for 4 years now finally came, and it was in a one-man business with a salary that would take me almost half. It took me back almost half of my current pay at the time. And I had an option: accept it, take a pay cut, and go and start my HR journey, or be comfortable and stay in my comfort zone and say, you know what, that, I'm earning well, I'm doing well, because I already know what I wanted. And I felt that if I look for this job for 4 years, if I say no to it, what if it takes me another 4 years to get another opportunity? That was how I processed it at the time. And I said, you know what, there's some jobs that they call stepping stone jobs. Take this one first and be growing in it. See what God wants to do with it, and you will get. I believe that something better will come. So that's how I announced to my bosses at the time, my HR at the time. So the funny thing is, I actually wanted to cross into HR in that organization. But because it's a global organization, there was a policy that you have to meet a certain number of staff strength before you can add an additional HR person. And for me, I knew that this is our staff strength, and I quickly had sense to know that there's a hiring freeze. So if we're not hiring more people, chances that we'll hit the threshold that we needed to hit to accommodate me, it will take time. I didn't want to keep waiting for when I will have hope to join the HR department. So long story short, I announced that I was leaving, and problems started. It was like people thought I was mad. How do you leave a multinational job to go and work in a one-man business? How do you leave a promising career to go and start in a place where you'll be the only HR person? For small businesses. So for me, my first HR job was head of HR or HR manager, but it was a very small organization that I wouldn't really have anyone to learn from. I will have to learn HR myself. And that was part of the madness that they saw. Like, even if you want to cross into HR, go to where you'll be learning from people, not where you have be figuring it out yourself. What do you know that you want to go and do there? It's only theory you have. You've done a master's, you've done CIPM, yes, but you still need to learn practically. This is a career. They said it's a career suicide. You're going to self
mm,
sabotage. You're going to regret this. I said, I'm very convinced though, because me, early on, I knew how to listen to the Holy Spirit. And when I have peace about something, I have peace about it. It might not make sense to you, but I'm sorry. If
mm,
it makes sense, that's all. Me, I'm going. So I took that journey at the time. People were so angry. My boss was so angry. They're like, should we increase your salary? Would that won't make you stay? Because everybody already loved me, but I just knew that I wanted to stick to this. So that's why I took that plunge. It was a plunge because even me, the funny thing was I was planning my wedding at the time. This was 11 years ago. I was planning so it didn't make sense that somebody that is planning wedding that needs
Isn't it
money for
difficult?
wedding. Someone that
Hey.
needs money for you're trying to start a family. You're not gonna you're not gonna take a pay call. Like, are you met? So long story short, that's why I took that job and I didn't listen to anyone. Now, the testimony there. So before I even go to how I now grew, okay, I spent only 4 months there. Another major HR job came. But the testimony there is that place I left 11 years ago, that they were telling me that it was a career suicide if I left. 11 years later, when now that I'm now an HR consultant, I suddenly randomly got a call from the MD of that organization on my way to work one day, saying that I came highly recommended from the CFO, that the HR department needs support. So there's an HR department, but they need to urgently close some gaps that they have. And they need an experienced HR consultant to help them with the gaps that they have. And I was driving that day, I was on Third Mainland because the network was even bad. I couldn't really hear. I was on my way to work. And I'm like, I left this place 11 years ago because I was desperately looking for. It was desperation that will make you leave a multinational
Yeah.
and go to a one-man business. Now, 11 years later, this same multinational is calling you that left to say,
Come and
come and work
consult.
with us as an HR consultant. I say, ha, hey, God, I beg.
Hmm.
And that's how they became my client. So I've been working with them as my clients. And I'm like, what if I never left? What if
Hey.
I pursue what my convictions were? So not only do I have a thriving career as an HR person, I still get to run my consulting practice by the side. I'm an employer of labor. I have people working with me, and I'm like, this is just what knowing what you want can do for you. Pursuing that thing
Hmm.
so I think the lesson there is, if you have your convictions, don't let anybody talk you out of it. Every time, say I have so many, because I wish we had like 5, 6 hours on this call.
I will
I've
bring you back.
had
Don't worry.
I've had so many times, so many instances and examples of when I share my vision, like I share what I want to do. And if I wasn't a very strong person, just the feedback that somebody else has about what they think, it's enough to just, because the way the person will analyze it for me, it will not make sense. Because even sometimes you say, if you're not careful, you want to doubt that, truly, am I thinking right? Does this thing make sense? There's so many examples. So I mean, I'm taking it in phases. So that was one moment where I had to make a very hard decision. So the first one I said was finding and discovering myself. The next phase was really taking time to really learn, embracing opportunities, embracing challenges that built me. The third one was being able to discern. Am I still on? Okay, I was worried.
Forgive me.
Nah, I
I
was
am
worried.
in Lagos. Can you hear me?
Lagos-
Am I back?
yes, 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 yes. You're back. I can hear you. I
Okay,
can hear
cool.
you.
My the inverter went off.
Okay, okay,
So
no
I didn't
problem.
want them to turn on the gen. It was already beeping.
Okay,
But I didn't want them
no
to turn on
problem.
the gen. 'Cause I didn't want the noise to enter the live. But
Yeah, yeah.
it didn't hold because there's been no
But you
light
can still
throughout
hear
today.
me, right?
And the weather and it rained.
It's
So
okay.
but if you can, I know you can hear, we are
I can
going to
hear you.
continue. Sorry
I
guys.
can hear.
I am in
I can.
Lagos, Nigeria. Power goes off.
I yeah.
So
I can hear
generator will
you.
soon come on. Yes. So
Can you
please
still hear me?
go on. You were talking. Please, yes, I can hear
Okay.
you. Carry on.
All right. All right. So I'll carry on. So the other phase I'd spoken to was being able to discern, because I believe that was a defining moment. And I think truly my fears, if I had stayed in that comfort zone, I think the more I'd stayed, I would never have summoned that courage to step into HR, because I would have kept on growing. It would have become more tempting to stay. What I would be losing or missing would have become more obvious as I saw. Being able to strike while the iron was hot, jump on that opportunity at the time, and realize that this is a stepping stone. Don't think about the now was a major for me. So that phase was embracing the um embracing the, what's that word now? When uncertainty, embracing the uncertainty around you're leaving a stable job, leaving a multinational, going to start in a one-man business. Now that phase ended. I was finally in HR, but guess what? My troubles had not ended because it was embracing a new life. Now, one major area I'll speak to was as a young, promising, bright employee, I had to learn the hard way that book intelligence was not everything. Physical, mental intelligence was not all you needed to thrive at work. There was a very big missing piece, which was emotional intelligence. And now you find out more with those of us who are very expressive, because we are expressive, we'll say it as it is. We'll see the obvious and we'll say it with no filters. And reckon that you're frozen. Are you still there? Neka, are you still there? I just want to hope I'm audible. Are there chats on this call? If anybody can confirm that they can hear me, I'll be glad. Maybe through the chat. Let me be sure it's not me. Can someone drop a chat? Okay, I'm seeing chat. Oh, NG, I see you. Christiana Soname, I see you. Valerie Azubike, I see you. So if anybody can just drop in the chat, so I know that I'm still on the call, it will be very helpful. I'm waiting for your chat. Now that I'm not seeing your chat, I'm getting very worried. I hope I'm not the one that's been thrown out. I know you can't speak, but you can chat. Um, Anybody? Please chat me so I know I'm in the house. Oh, I hope I'm still here. No one is chatting. He makes me worry that I can't be heard. I know Neka's network might be, but hearing Neka's message. I just wanted to get confirmation from people on the call. So let's just wait for Neka. Neka says she's joining. I can't even see where to chat as well. Where do we chat? Okay, so I'm just going to continue what I was saying. Whilst we wait for Neka to join back, I'm going to hope that you can still hear me. Even though I'm not seeing anybody confirm in the chat, I'm just going to hope that I'm still audible. And then that's the thing, no. Just a moment. It's showing I'm live. Okay, it's showing. Just a moment. Okay, so I'm just going to continue. Hopefully, okay, I'm just going to continue my story. Hopefully, hoping that I'm still being heard. I'm still audible. Yeah, so that phase in my journey where I realized that emotional intelligence was a really, really big deal. Yeah. I was very expressive, very outspoken, very opinionated. And okay, please, I need to be sure. Why am I not seeing the chat? Why am I not seeing the chat? Just a moment. Okay. So for me at the time, I had to learn that emotional intelligence was a really big deal. Especially being on a management role. So it was a small, relatively small organization, but as the head of HR, I had to deal with, okay, now I'm at peace. I wasn't
Sorry,
sure. No
I am
problem
so
at all.
sorry.
No, no
I'm
problem
sorry.
at all.
We're
It's
just
okay.
sorry about this. Let's
What
carry on.
what got me worried was I couldn't see chats from anyone. I was trying
Yes,
to ask if people could hear me.
yes. So they were saying they could see the charts, but I was seeing
Okay.
it here, and I was hearing people say they
Okay.
can see and they can hear you, but I wasn't seeing you.
I was worried
So
too.
I've now put the charts live, so it should be showing now, so that
Yeah,
we can see
I can't see. I
our
can't
face
see. I
live.
can't see. I couldn't see the chats, but I can. I think you're sharing your screen, right? Are you
I'm
sharing your
sharing the
screen?
charts now. Yes,
Because I can see it.
yes,
Okay,
you can
my
see it
friend
now.
was
Yes.
even trying to call me. Ada, thank you, Ada. Oh, thank you, sis. My
Thank you,
senior colleague
everyone.
at work.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, Ada. I'm at peace now that you guys were hearing me. So
Yes.
for me, when I transitioned into my first HR role as a HR manager, even though it was a smaller organization, there was an MD that I was reporting to, and there was still the management team. But I was still very young. I was It was my first HR role where I was the head of HR. So I had to learn HR from the top. I didn't have anybody I was learning from. So whilst I was dealing with the fact that I don't have experience, is Bobo I used to get the job. So what I mean, Bobo, is I was able to speak to my theoretical knowledge, and I was
Mm-hmm.
so bright. So they gave me an opportunity because I was able to speak to the fact that I had run a master's, I had my certifications and all of that. So they should have gave me the job, long story short. But when you are learning office politics at the top in your first HR experience, you're going to fail. You're going to do a lot of things wrong. But I didn't realize that my book intelligence, my IQ was not what was going to carry me. I needed to understand stakeholder management. I needed to build relationships. I needed to build allies. I needed to warm up to people. So HR for me when I started was very tough because not only was I battling the functional aspect of the job, without experience. I was also battling the softer side of the job, and I was learning the hard way because I was stepping on a lot of toes. And you know how one man business is. The things I know now. So when you said I should say to my 20-year-old self, what would you have done better on Motola? Is that just calm down. We know you know it, but maybe you don't need to tell everybody. See, I suffered on that job, because it was a sharp contrast between where I was coming from. Where I was coming from, there was visibility. People loved me because I was open to challenges. I was open to challenging tasks. I was open to learning. I was asking questions. I had superiors that were hailing me. I carried that same pride and mentality and shoulder pads into a completely different organization, a different sector, a different setting. And I wanted to, it was showing that I was learning on the job, but I didn't want to openly admit it. How can we say our head of HR does not know job? So it was a mess. That was the one job that one day that I was tired. I was tired of the gbas boss. I just dropped my letter. Then you write letter and drop it. And I wasn't driving that day. So it was I dropped letter, I entered bus, I was going home. It was in the bus that I went to Indeed and Jobberman. I started looking for another job after four
Are
months
you
of
serious?
so it was a mess. I look back at those years, those months, even though regardless of honesty, let's say the truth, it was a very toxic place. Let's not lie. But it did help. It did help that me too I not use my sense. When I mean sense, emotional sense, emotional intelligence. It was a wrong move. It was a toxic place. But that 4 months did something for me. It made me see that there's another life. Oh, there's another side to this life. Is all not every organization is always going to be the way you're used to it, the way you know it. And that was where I first learned that every new place you go, there's a new lesson to learn. There's a
Mm,
new there's a new lesson to learn. There are new people you're going to have to get used to. That's why I realized culture shock. Even before I got to now know it later, that it was a thing in HR, that culture shock. I learned that practice. It wasn't in textbook they taught me. That culture shock, I experienced it because I'm like, what is this? Where I'm coming from, they used to treat me like egg. You people are not even rating me at all. So it was a sharp contrast. So merge toxicity in the workplace with lack of emotional intelligence, not talking when you're supposed to talk, and talking when you're not supposed to talk, saying what you're not supposed to say at the wrong time to the wrong person. It was just a mess. So I usually say a lot in my coaching practice and to my mentees now that if there's anything you want to get certified in or train, build yourself in, get mentored in, get coached in on, it is emotional intelligence. You're going to have to discover, and that's why I really love your book where you said why your boss prefers your colleague, because you said a lot about that in
Mm,
there. You are
yeah.
just going to be walking and wondering, why is this person a star? Why do they carry this person like this? You will not realize that there's something this person is doing right that you're not doing. Office politics, I'm going to speak a bit about that because I've learned from organization to organization that there's no organization that doesn't have politics. So it's just
Please,
going to
can you
be in
say it
different
louder?
nature. There's no organization. So if you resign from your organization because of office politics, get ready. Congratulations. Because where you are going, you're going to see it in another dimension. It's going to be in different measures and different dimensions. But you're going to have to learn how to play that game. I had to learn the hard way that there's a game called, so so that journey left. I mean, I got out of that organization. I got into a better organization where I spent 5 years and I really learned. I had taken my lessons and I wasn't the head of HR, but I was now reporting to the head of HR and I became a star back. And I realized that, oh, that early years, I think the trick for me was reporting to someone that could really understand that I'm a star. Because I now enjoyed myself. Those 5 years, I didn't want to leave. I got married there, had my first child, had my second child there. I was just lounging. I was just enjoying myself because I'm enjoying myself here. And me and my boss were 5 and 6. That thing you wrote where in your book where, you are someone is a star, another person is wondering why that star is a favorite. I was
Mm-hmm.
a star in that organization. And sometimes I used to pity people that were not stars. I'm like, life must be really hard for you. Because I had now learned that you just need to understand your boss. You just need to
Mm,
understand what ticks for them, what works for them. You need to get into their space, their head space at times. So sometimes I had to learn that when maybe I'm working on a report or I'm presenting, I need to watch the mood before you can do great work, but you gotta take that great work to your boss at the wrong time when they just come out of NPR and they've finished their life, they've given them buzz. That's when you're now bringing your excellent work. That excellent work will not be excellent at that point because it's the wrongest time. There is not the emotions from where they are coming from to view it. So you're going
true.
to wonder, but what have I done wrong? I did this thing, I worked overnight. I didn't sleep for 3 days straight. And my boss could not even say, give me a compliment. You did not study the mood. You have to study the mood. So, I mean, I learned all of that in those 5 years. And funny, when I left that organization, so when I discovered I had stayed 5 years, in that organization, I say, you know what, we must move to the next phase. Oh, now I've learned HR well. I've understood emotional intelligence, built stakeholder management. I was great on my job. I was doing well. I was loved. But I wanted to move into leadership. I knew that the next phase of my career was to be in leadership. I wanted to, because for me, I've always been eyeing the top. I'm very ambitious. I'm like, okay, and I've learned. I want to also lead. So I started looking for my next role, which would be a leadership role, and that's what took me out of that organization. And then I
Mm,
now entered the next organization. I had to now learn a new set of lessons again because I was now in a very peculiar sector within a peculiar structure. So I wanted leadership. I became a leader, and I realized I was not the only leader. We were multiple leaders reporting to a very big leader. And that's the
mm.
thing about working in a
Different
very large
dynamic.
organization. It's a different dimension where you are a leader, you're reporting to you, people are reporting to you. You have
Mm-hmm.
fellow leaders that are your peers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you now have one very senior leader. That's the thing with working in large organization. Now I didn't understand that where I was coming from because it was one team of 5, 6 people. All of us were there was no several steps. We was 5 of us reporting to our head of HR. It was a
Mm,
different environment from when you enter a place, you are head of something, there's another head of something, there's another head of
mm,
something. all of you heads are now reporting to the most senior head, the
Senior
CHRO,
person.
and you have people reporting. That's when I now realized, hey, this is a different environment again. So for me, I count myself really lucky that I've worked in multiple organizations because
Mm,
I've been able to build a shock absorber to the shock that I always experience every time I get into a new place. Now I now understand why they say your first 90 days is important. It will make or mar you in any place that you get into because I've lived it every time I move because I've moved a lot. I always have to experience that first 3 months, first 1 month, first 2 months, first 3 months, first 6 months, and it makes up it determines whether I stay long there or not. So getting into that other phase, and I had to learn what it means where you have so that balancing that situation where you have to show up as a leader to the people that report to you. You still
mm-hmm,
have to be submissive.
mm-hmm.
Sorry, you still have to be submissive
Your
to the person
supervisor, your
you're
own
reporting
manager.
to.
Yeah.
Yes, supervisor, yes. And then you have to laterally, because you are not their boss, they are not your boss. Those your colleagues that are also
Yeah,
head
we
of
have to
something.
dance there.
They can be the biggest principality you will have, or the biggest friends, the biggest supporters. Is all in how you, because
Mm,
again, you met them there. They were already stars. They were already the stars of the boss before you came. You now have to find your place. As in, when we talk about politics, and I think I got to experience it a lot more
no,
in
I have to
such
come to you for
situations.
coaching on that one to learn that one well.
And that has been the life for the past few years now. It's really just knowing that you have so you have to be intentional about how you want to show up every day. You have
Mm,
to decide how you want to be viewed. There's this thing they say personal brand. How do people see you? Now, for a long time, I used to think personal branding was how you see yourself and how you put yourself, how self-awareness, personal brand, all of those things, how you show up, how you present yourself to the world. There's that. But there's also how they see you, even when you don't know it. There's what they're saying about you when you're not there. There's a perception that they will have of you. And that perception is what will fester, what they will share amongst themselves. And you'll be so oblivious to it. And you will think you're showing up in a certain way. But it's a different thing people are seeing. So it is really, sometimes I'm like, career is so hard. Should I say, who even invented the
but the
concept of
business.
work sef? Like, why can't we just be like Adam and Eve in their days where they were not, they were just enjoying the Garden of Eden? Like, why is it so hard to just? Again, it's because some of us are we're really particular about being valuable. Because if you're not particular about being valuable, trust me, it's easy for you. Sometimes I used to envy you people that you don't have goals, you don't have ambition, you don't have anything. You just go to work, do the barest minimum, collect salary. If you're lucky, they won't sack you. If they sack you, you just be there as in, like, because it can be so stressful to want to make a difference. Because then you have to
Mm,
contend with so many principalities and powers that think you have an ulterior motive for what you're doing. So they think, oh, you just want, so because a lot of people in the workplace are there to ask kids, they're just there to do eye service, they are not ready to work. So that I've discovered there are different kinds of people. There are the people like us, we were blessed that we know we want to work. We come there to do the work. There is no ulterior motive. We just want to make a difference and we want to be appreciated for the work we do, collect what is due us, and go. That some of us, we are there just trying to, some people, not some of us, some people are there constantly because they have a lot of battles, a lot of things that they are dealing with. They are constantly looking for love, looking for acceptance, looking to please people. They believe that their growth or their promotion or their blessing is in the hand of another person. So they have to just, there is a bit of that because you also need to understand how to navigate where you are and, find how it will favor you. But just do it with sincerity of heart. When it becomes really dirty and messy is when you do all those things because you want to get ahead and you don't mind whose neck you're going to break in the course of doing
yeah,
that. Terrible. That is the dirty side of politics that people that just, I mean, it can be very annoying. So but in the simplest way I talk about dealing with office politics is, first of all, understand that it's there. his presence, his existence. But
Yeah.
what you need to do is figure out the kind of politics at play in your organization. They're the ones that your your direct reports, they'll be using it to play politics. You will not know. They're there plotting how they are there. They for example, I'll give you an example. Someone reports to you, but they are close with another person who's like your peer or who is senior to you. So they
Mm.
believe that their promotion is not in your hand. Maybe they don't think you are powerful enough. They believe that their promotion is in hand of other powerful people. So anything at all to get in the good books of that powerful person. So they'll do everything and anything to, even if it means making you look bad, just so that. So for example, people will feel the need. Maybe if someone does not like you, for example, and they believe that putting you down in front of that person is what gets that person to like them since they don't like
Mhm.
you. So I'm just giving an example of how even the people that report to you, there can be politics playing out there, and it's on all sides. There can be politics with your colleagues that you both work together. There can be politics with your bosses. There are different things that will be happening, especially in large organizations. So I hear people say things like, "Oh, I want to live where I am. It's a one-man business. I want a more structured place because all the shege I'm seeing, I won't be seeing it in a structured place." And I'm like, if you are seeing shege raised to power 10 here, you will see it shege raised to power 100 in a larger place, because the bigger the place, the bigger the shege, the bigger the politics. There can be structure, but that doesn't mean that that structure will be devoid of things like politics, because politics is a result of people. Where you have people, the structure won't say people should completely not, display their emotions, display their feelings, display their personality. And it just means that you have to be ahead of how people think. You have to just protect yourself from how whatever game they're playing, however way it affects you. And that's where wisdom comes in. So it's a really, really tough call navigating different organizations and navigating different things that will come with whatever job that you're given. But I've, had to also learn in my own journey that in different ways, when I go through a situation, I pray to God for wisdom to navigate. I speak to trusted people. Those are the things that have helped, because at different levels, even as a leader, even as head of HR, you would have your very challenging times. You'll be like, you doubt yourself. You'll be like, who can I talk to about this? How can I, navigate this situation? There are times you feel underappreciated. Sometimes you feel really appreciated. You feel like, oh, I think I'm adding value here. And there are times that you'll be heartbroken. No, you'll be betrayed by people that you trusted. And that's where the thing around understand that the workplace is a place of work. It's a plus if you have genuine friendships. It's a plus if you build genuine relationships, but don't go to work expecting, because you didn't grow up with these people. They don't live in your
Mm.
house. They might be smiling with you, you don't know what they're saying. And that doesn't mean you should go all paranoid, but just prepare so that it doesn't hit you too bad. Prepare your shock absorber that these things might happen. So watch the things that you tell your colleagues. Watch the things that you tell people that you believe you trust, because you really might not know to what extent that thing might count again. The wrongest person to tell your life secrets is your colleague at work, because you don't know if is that secret they want to use to bid for promotion when you're not there. If they had a choice to say, we are considering Nneka and Omotola. We are considering both of you. We don't know who will promote. And you are in front of that person that is telling you that. And I have Nneka's secret. The onus is on me to either use Nneka's secret to remove Nneka as a candidate. So I'm just, giving an example to
Yes,
say
yes.
you can have friends, oh, but the friendship should be in the line of work. If you guys decide to take your friendship outside of work, I know people that they've found friendships that have really stood the test of time. In fact, they found spouses, husbands, and wives at the workplace. All of that is, yeah, yeah. Actually, as I started saying that, I remember that that's your story as well, because I know I've read that.
Yeah.
So I mean, big congrats to you. So different things can happen in the line of work, but don't go into it naively. So that wisdom still has to guide you, is what I'm saying. The one very touching part of my story that I'll say that, I mean, which I think is the last thing. How many minutes more do I have left? Let me just know.
No, we usually would do about 90 minutes. So it's
Okay,
fine.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
carry on.
okay. All right.
We clearly are gonna have to
So,
bring you back because the questions I've written, and I'm not joking, just that I'm writing on Google Docs. I would have shown you. I've written more than one page
oh wow,
of the
wow,
lessons here. So just
wow.
please carry on.
So, one, I've spoken to the phase of learning on the go, learning emotional intelligence. One major phase that has shaped my resolve today that I'll talk about is about 5 years ago, 2020, when I started my impact journey. When I now made a decision that, okay, I was doing well in my career, I was adding value, I was gaining visibility, but I believe that there was more, right? And I believe that when it comes to purpose, so for me, right now, 5 years after, this is how my life looks like. It's a very big wheel where I divide my life into two. So on one side, there's life, on one side, there's work. Life is divided into four: God, me, my family, and my relationships, my friends. So my life is divided into eight. Two big parts: life and work. Life divided into four: God, me, family, friends. Then the work side is also divided into four. And this is something I say to a lot of people. There is a difference between your job and your career. And that's one thing that has fueled my resolve to consistently keep making my career count, consistently keep making my career, fashioning my career the way, fashioning my career story, the kind of story I wanted to tell. I am unashamed, unapologetic, bold about how I want my career journey to look like. I never think that it's in the hands of any organization, any I don't allow other people make my career decisions for me. And I realized that this is something that has been with me since when I started 15 years ago, where I announced that I wanted to go and take a one man business, take a pay cut. Everybody thought I was crazy, but I was able to stand on that decision. I thought it was always best for me at the time. So for me, is there's your job. So the other four sides of my of work is my job, my career, business, and purpose. And is also to answer the question, how do I balance it all? How do I juggle these many hats? There's a very clear distinction. And I'll also share one thing because I give this to my coaches, the life wheel, and then the four resources that I'm very intentional about distributing across these things: my time, my money, people, and skills. So I am very intentional about how I distribute time because I realized you can't actually multitask. Oh. There's nothing like multitasking. There's only what you call harmony and balance. So, for example, I'm on this call with you for the next 90 minutes. Whether my children are eating, they're sleeping, they're fighting, they're beating themselves, I don't know. I can't be involved. So there has to be something that is keeping them sane wherever they are
Mm,
because I have to be focused on this call.
mm,
If my boss is trying to call me right now at this time, is it I tell you sorry, I want to pick my, which should not be nice. So I have to have found a way to create. I'm trying to say that you can't actually, every time you're doing something, that's what you are doing part time. You can't
mm.
do two things at the same time. I can't be
Yeah.
talking to Neka and or everybody on this call and be talking to my boss at the same time, or be answering a client's email at the same time, or be feeding my children at the same time. So it is important that you intentionally plan your time. And when you plan it is when you can be sure that nothing is suffering. You can evaluate. And that's the thing with planning. You have the opportunity to assess, review, evaluate that certain aspects of your life are getting the time that they deserve. So with my time, with my money, that thing of who is using your salary, it is something I also learned. I mean, I think I got my first salary budgeting template from you. Thank you for that. I've said this journey has been long
Hey,
coming.
I'm gonna have to post about this.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So I
blown.
mean, it, finances, because you realize that just the singular act, just the singular fact that your salary feels not enough can be the reason you feel that your job is bad. It can be the
True,
reason why you feel your boss is toxic.
true.
It can be the reason why you feel like you are not enjoying your job. Just the mere fact that that salary does not feel enough. Not that I didn't say the salary is not enough, but it doesn't feel enough because you don't plan how you would use it. So it's the same way that For me, knowing that I have a lot of things that I do, I'm very intentional about what goes in, what comes out of every of those areas. So how much time and how much money I spend on myself, how much money I spend on my family, how much money I spend on my business, on different things that I do. It is something that I intentionally plan. The third resource is the people, because I realize that in anything that you're doing, the what will make a difference many times in whether you're succeeding at that thing is the networks, the relationships you've built.
Yeah.
So I'm always very intentional about relationships. I see relationships as a resource. You either have it or you don't have it. You either have it in abundance or you have it in deficit. You're either using them properly the way you should or you are not, and you're going to be at the losing end of that. The fourth one is skills, learning, competency, capacity. I am constantly building capacity across the different areas, building capacity how to be more fervent in my work with God, building capacity around how to be a better wife and a better mother, building capacity how to be better in my skill, in my HR practice, better in my consulting practice, better as a coach, better as a mentor. So you invest in these things, invest time, invest money, pursue relationships and invest building capacity in anything you're doing. So it also answers the question, how do I juggle? But back to the story I'm trying to tell, which I think is like the biggest storm I've had to wade, is getting to that point where you realize that there is more and you are saying to yourself, I believe that I can be allowed to do my 9 to 5 and still fulfill purpose. I don't have to choose. Many people have had to choose. I didn't believe I had to choose. It was only important for me to be in an environment um, where how do I put this now? Being in an environment where
That's supportive.
people around you understand that fact and you also managing it with wisdom. So, for instance, 5 years ago, the storms I had to go through, and 4 years ago, with how I'm managing it today, I've learned a lot of lessons on the journey. So, if we're talking career, for me, my life is not just about career. My life is about my job, my business, my purpose, and managing all of that with my career and my job. And being a 9 to 5 person who also actively has a community, who also actively runs a business, who also actively tries to, make impact, do a lot of things. When I started my impact journey, it was for me at the time, it was just trying to give back. So my first impact project was where it was COVID year, September 2020. I said, you know what, my birthday giveaway, I was going to help 30 people that had been laid off from their jobs and was going to help them go through an employability skills coaching. I was going to mentor them for 30 days. I was going to help them with their CVs, do a mock interview with them, and do a talent spotlight. And I said I was going to spend 2 hours every day, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. with each person for 30. There were 30 days in September. So I said I was going to do one session per day for those 30 days. I'm a September baby. So I announced that on the 1st of September. And it was in the morning. I went to work and I just picked up my phone during break time around 12 to check. And I saw that 85 people. I said I wanted 30 people. I posted it at 7, and by 12 it mean that I was looking for 85 people, 35, 80 I was looking for 30 people and
30,
85 people had,
85.
85 people had already signed up. I said, what? And I didn't have so many followers on LinkedIn at the time, but people started reposting it. Some people took it to Facebook, Instagram, everywhere was buzzing with. I'm like, oh my God, how do I handle this? I felt it so bad that I didn't want anybody to be left out. I
Mm,
started wondering what was it. And I had already said I'll leave it open for 24 hours because I wasn't even sure I'll get 30 people in 24 hours. So I didn't want to go against my word. I didn't want to quickly shut it down when I'd already left it for 4, 5 hours. So I now said, okay, I'm have to keep to my word. I have to leave it open for 24 hours and then see what happens. And by the time it was 24 hours later, I had like 150 people. I now said to myself, how am I going to pick 30 people out of this? It means that a lot of people need this. And that's how I now, the Spirit of God ministered to me, say, you don't have to do it alone. You can extend it, you can expand it, let more people benefit, and then call for participations. And that's where, for the first time in my life, I experienced that feeling where I said 32 people sponsored our event last year. That was the
mhm,
first, that was the second time I was having that.
mm.
that the first time it happened was in 2020, where I called for, so I said, fellow HR leaders, talent managers, recruiters, join me on this. And I announced, and I said, join me on this. I want to extend it to 100. So I said I was going to do it for 100 people. And I wanted people to come on board. And before I knew it, people that I didn't know, leaders I didn't know in the HR space, mentors, people that I was looking at from afar and was admiring their journey and trying to be like them when I grow up. That's how they started entering my DM and said, I'll support you. I saw your post, I'll be a part of it. And just like that, 23 people, leaders, came on board,
See,
joined me on that project, and we impacted 130 people. CV reviews, mock interviews, talent spotlight. A lot of people got jobs. The testimonials was over the roof. That was my first impact project, and that's where I realized, oh my God, there's something here, and I hadn't stopped since then. Now, there was a defining moment. There was a conversation. Somebody in my organization that saw that post came to me and said, how many years experience do you have? You want to coach people? Are you a certified coach? What do you know that you want to teach these people? You better, it's not people like you that do this thing. You better just forget about it. And it was a voice that hit me on that very day I posted it. And I had to ask myself, and I had to pinch myself that way too. I know I got this directive very clearly from God. And it was someone that by
whose
the
voice you
natural order of
valued.
things, thank you. By the natural order of things, I should not be going against what that person said. This person clearly,
Mm,
it was like an instruction, shut it down. You can't be doing
mm,
this. So I had to make a choice at that time to go with what I was,
yeah,
just like I did back. You
yeah,
remember
at the
that
job.
time I did
Yes.
it. I had to make a decision to listen to this person and shut it down, that I truly didn't have the experience to coach people, or go with what I believed, and it would be a clear case of disregarding what that person said. And once again, I had to make that choice to say, I'm very convinced about this that I'm doing. And I had to now find how to manage that person, manage the situation. And for the next 1 or 2 years, because I then left the organization, went into another one, and it was also a case of the biggest battle that I faced, was also trying to navigate a time where you are now trying to do more. It's no longer, your commitment is now no longer just to your job, but then you have to prove to the people you work with that you need to be allowed to do this. In quote, I don't know how to
Yes, because
explain
you are
it.
delivering.
Uh,
This you are proving that
Yes,
you are doing your
yes,
work still. You are
yes.
going above
Because
and
for
beyond. This
me,
thing I'm doing is not stopping the work.
exactly, exactly, you get it. Because for me, it is a phase that not everybody will have the privilege to experience, because not everybody is going to dream to own things or do things of their own outside their job. So if you're on this call, and I mean, you're in that phase where you have more, you have a passion project you want to pursue, and you're constantly being made to feel that you're not supposed to be doing it, or if they're telling you is impacting your work or something. For me, what I just had to learn is there's a lot of wisdom you need. So the obvious thing, the straightforward thing might be, you just stick to your convictions and then you say no. But it's not about that, because you can't just rub it in people's faces. You
Hmm.
have to learn how to manage it with wisdom. There are times that you see me on LinkedIn, I'm posting away, I'm very frequent with my posting. There are times you see that I'll pipe it down a bit. There are times I'm doing something, I'll come out about it. There are times I won't post. So there's been wisdom with managing a lot of things, because as long as you're constantly making that choice to say, I'm going to run my 9 to 5, I'm going to do my own thing, you're going
Hmm.
to constantly have to manage the peculiarities around that. Now, all while letting go, all while refusing to drop whatever you believe that you're convinced about. I know someone, you also know the person, I don't have to mention their name, but in engagement with her, she shared that she was very convinced she wanted to start her own thing, and then she left her 9 to 5 and went to do her own thing. I mean, I respect that. If you are at that level where you believe, I'm so led to go and start my own thing, and I don't want to have to combine it with my job, or I don't think I have to, that's fine. But just be sure that this is what God's leading you to do. Be sure that you
Yeah.
build the capacity. Just do your homework and ensure that you're ready. But if you are here and you still believe that, well, I want to be able to, drive my career, build my career. I want to also be able to do my own thing at the side. There are
Mm-hmm.
some of us that are trying it, we are navigating it, is working well, but ensure that you at least have a mentor that is walking you through. I had to submit to coaching at some point. Yes, I had to submit to coaching at some point when I wanted to lose my mind. Like there was so much happening at the same time. It's also a very fantastic recipe for burnout if you're not careful. I mean, I must mention that because there are times I
Mm.
realized that I was burnt out, not because I was doing a lot, but because I was mentally carrying so much weight of who I wanted to manage, how I wanted to manage them. Oh, I need to, I was working on eggshells. I don't want to offend this person. And it was just a lot to carry. Right. So for me, in that period of accepting and embrace, because I've had to embrace different aspects of me, embrace the fact that the first time, embrace the fact that I wasn't a microbiology person. I'm called for HR. I'm trying to find myself in that HR. Embracing the fact that, okay, now I'm in HR, I need to embrace that side of me that is emotionally intelligent. The other stage was embracing leadership and the things that come with leadership. The many untold things. Nobody will tell you that this is what leadership feels like. You are managing up, you are managing down, you are managing sideways. Now, after that, I'm embracing the fact that I'm managing many aspects of me. I still have to continue to deliver on my job because it can't be said of me that because I'm going for speaking
Yeah,
engagements, doing training. I lecture at two universities. I didn't even remember to add that one when I was talking
can you
earlier.
imagine?
I lecture in
Goodness,
two
what a
universities
schedule.
in addition to my 9 to 5 and my consulting practice and my coaching. So I'm literally doing so much and I've had to embrace that this is me. Now, any other person would naturally or ordinarily not accept that this is you. How do you get them to see that everything about your 9 to 5 is still intact? You're not dropping the balls on anything. You now have to do the extra care to ensure that you are delivering on the areas of your work that require it. You also have clients that are now you are collecting their money, you must deliver. So, what systems and structures do you put in place? Your other engagements, as long as you commit that you are able and available to do it, how do you show up? Let me confess this this session because I'm at a place where I'm 6 hours behind. The time difference sometimes can make me just lose track of reality. So when your
Mhm.
reminder came, I said, "Oh my God, yet again it has happened." This time difference will not put me in trouble. So
Yeah,
I had to in 20 minutes leave what I was doing, go and powder my face, brush my
yes, yeah,
hair,
get
look
ready.
good. Like I must show up. I must not let Nneka down. I'd already
Yes,
committed.
so
As I said, thank you for that reminder because this until until I come back home, there's so many things that I would have just lost touch with because I'm not in the
yes,
same
you're not in the
zone,
same
and
time zone. Yes, yes.
it just always happens. So that's why I said thank you so much for that reminder. And I, I will not want to have committed and then I don't show up. So it helps
So
me in anything. So there's just that mindset where if I've said I'm doing something, I'm doing it. I must show up
mhm.
and to the best. I must look my best. I must put in my best. I must put my
Mm,
best before. It is a mentality, it is a mindset that has
mindset for
carried me
you.
all
Mm.
through my career journey. So I'll leave it now. I think I'll stop here. I'll take any questions that you have
Awesome.
or that
There's
the
so
audience has,
much.
and
Hey,
then
I don't even
take
know
it
which
from
one to ask and what not to ask, right? But you see,
there.
you shared so many things, and I want to talk about this a blend of
Yeah,
things. I don't know what to be able to cover tonight, right? But let's see
yeah,
what we can touch on. You talked about
mm,
lessons you learned as you transitioned, right,
mm-hmm,
from one
hmm,
organization to the next. And I think that you said something that I was a star, and I carried that same feeling as I was a star to the next place, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
continued that way. I remember I was speaking somewhere and I was sharing with people about the fact that when you get into a new place, pause and understand how the new boss likes to work. Many
mm-hmm,
people just feel like, oh, is he not working with the manager? I got that part down. Let's carry on.
mm-hmm,
Talk to me. Tell us your experience in paying attention to the differences of how things. Okay, let's talk about how you said something. How office
yeah,
politics works in
mm-hmm.
organizations is different. So, what should I look out for? I'm changing jobs, and then what should I
Yeah.
look out for?
There's a word that we've thrown around a lot. My boss is toxic. Everybody now says that thing. And even as a coach, even as an advocate of workplaces that are healthy, I
Mm.
always, anybody that says that to me, I stop and ask some questions. I won't just advise you on it because I'm not even hearing your boss's side of the story. Whilst I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that toxic bosses, see, I've had my fair share of toxic bosses. I've worked with, experienced HR leaders that are toxic, and that's even, let me even talk a bit about that. That's the worst part because employees are supposed to come and report their boss to you as HR, and you're supposed to be the one to
Mm.
solve their problem. Now, when you is reporting to
That's
an
the
HR
problem.
leader that is toxic, what is your fate? Like, who am I supposed to report to? So I understand that there are toxic bosses, and I understand that even with us that are supposed to be the advocate of healthy workplaces, we are the ones
Mm.
even at the forefront of bearing that flag of toxicity, and it can be very messy to see. But what I usually say to mentees and coaches and people in my community that reach out, I ask certain questions around, okay, what is your typical um, working relationship with your bosses when it comes to your tasks? So I say very openly to people, the first job you have when you are employed in an organization, the first responsibility you have is to do your job. First of all, we are not talking about relationship. We are not even talking about whether they like you, whether they don't like you. First of all, on the number one on the checklist, are you doing your job? Because there are certain things that should be secondary to you. You don't get to a place and start looking for people to like you first. And that's where a lot of people miss
Mm.
it. They leave the job they're supposed to be doing and they are looking for, they want to, how they. I also, very early on, there are certain, when you understand, you're self aware and you understand your personality, there's some things you have to fight against. Because I'm a very warm, engaging person, I naturally believe that
Everybody.
workplaces should be energetic, workplace should be vibey. I love colors. I'm life of the party. I love loud. So when I get into a place and the place is dry or dead, my natural instinct is to bring up the life in that place. I feel silences are awkward. I feel that when we are gloomy, I don't like it. Doesn't, my spirit is high when the energy is high. I'm that kind of person. But I've had to also learn that if you are too into that zone, you have the tendencies to people please because you believe that if they are not talking to you or if they don't like you, you are the problem. There's a problem. So I mean, there are a lot of personality tests that will help you understand yourself. Being very self-aware is the first step to
Mm.
emotional intelligence. So I've also had to learn that. Now with managing your bosses, when you get into a new job, first of all, understand that there are two things, there are three things. There's your job, there's the people that you work with, and then there's the workplace, there's the culture of that workplace. Now, when you understand your job, you're already coming to the organization with the right competence and capacity to do your job. You have experience and all that. That's already working for you. Ensure that you quickly understand what the expectations are. Because the funny thing is, you can know your job. Unfortunately for you, your boss can have a different expectation of what that job should be and what doing that job means. So that's why you need to understand that there are three aspects, there are three sides of the equation. The first side is you, first of all, having the competence to do your job. Now, go to work with that competence, but don't believe that that competence will deliver everything for you. The second thing you have to understand is the personality of your boss, the expectations they have of you when it comes to your job, and what they understand as your job being done. And that's where people miss it. People are just emotionally unintelligent. It's like love language. You are married to your husband is showing you signs that he loves you, but you're not saying it because he's not speaking your love language, and vice versa. I also
Mm.
believe that in workplaces, you have to understand the language that your boss understands when it comes to doing your work. Don't just believe that you have the job description, you have the KPI. At the interview, they told you such and such is your. When you get there, the first thing you are doing is engaging your boss, asking questions around what do they need you to do and how do they want the work relationship to look like? How do they prefer to be related with? Have certain conversations. And the funny and annoying thing is, and that's office politics, some bosses will tell you one thing with mouth. It's another thing they'll be doing. The actions will be speaking a different language. I've experienced that all too many times. So also realize that don't take everything you hear as solid. Also watch, open your eyes and observe the nuances of their actions. Some bosses are not self-aware. They'll tell you, I'm a very easygoing person, I'm a very down-to-earth person. They are acting the exact opposite because one, they are very unself-aware or self-unaware. They are delusional. They also want to put up a front of what they are not. They are also struggling. They have battles.
Wow.
Experience
Hey.
is speaking. So I said I've had my fair share of dealing with different, but and that's what working in different organizations. That's why it's easy for me to coach people because of
Yes.
those experiences that I've lived myself. So when you're talking with your boss, and especially a new boss that you've not worked with before, they're telling you, oh, this is the way I like to work. They can be telling you that idea of the pretty idea they have in their head of what should be. But you realize from engaging with them that you're seeing something else. Take that thing you are seeing as the facts, the reality. There was a time in my in my work, in my experience, that I would have engagements with my boss. My boss would say certain things. In other conversations where I'm repeating that thing that she said, I'll be hearing a different thing. And I've already gone and done certain things based on that thing that she told me. So I'm like, why are you always changing mouths? I now started to everything I hear, I'm gonna write it in mail. I'll back it up in mail, and just give a report of it because I discovered that was the only way I could be sane. There was a constant changing of what the course of action should be, and every time I quote, "Ma, you said this," you'll be like, when did I say that? And okay, it's true because I didn't write it down. So, I mean, that's how some situations can be. So, with dealing with your bosses, before you I'm saying the things that you have to ensure on your own is you have understood them. You are sure that again, naturally we also deal with our egos. We have things that we are battling. So if you have not figured out how to communicate properly, you can have the best ideas, but you're not presenting them properly. You're not communicating properly. You're not submissive. You're not trying to align with what they are trying to do. These are things that you would ensure that you have done first. And this boss is still being a problem before you label them toxic. And when someone is toxic is when so there are a lot of things that are thrown around as definition of toxic, but I just usually tell people to calm down. Don't label everything toxic. If this
Mm,
person is not effective with their words, some people are just performance driven. They don't want to be your friend. They just need you to do your job. That's not toxic. It's just performance driven. He's all about the task. You might not check on you. You might not ask how are you. You might not say, are you feeling fine? Except if you say, I'm sick, give me sick leave. And they don't give
mm-hmm,
you sick leave, they die there. But if this and some people that are just constantly needy of affection, they come
mm,
to work expecting their boss to check on them and say, how are you? And because the boss didn't say how are you, no, some people are all about the work. So once you understand that as their personality, do the work and go and find love elsewhere. Where you label them toxic is where you are obviously showing signs that you're about to die. And they say, just before you die, do this. I don't mind if you die after all, but just before you die,
just
do
before
this task.
you
That one is toxic. But if someone is just naturally all about the job, please, I gave you a job, do it. That's just someone who's performance driven. And there are different types. Everybody cannot be like your last boss. I keep telling people that. Don't come and say where
mm,
I'm coming from. My boss
that's
was
a
this. My
big
boss,
word.
even twins that are born of the same mother have different personalities. Don't leave Chevron and go to Shell and say my boss at Chevron was behaving like this. Why are you not behaving like? I mean, people have the right to have different personalities. So just ensure that you are looking for the right things in your bosses. Because sometimes when we're looking for the wrong things and we don't get it, we'll say, this person, I keep using the analogy of married couples. You are looking
Yeah.
for a man that showers you with gifts, showers you with money, and the guy just wants to spend time with you. He believes quality time is how he will show love to you. And so he's with you 24/7, checking on you, but he's not buying you Lamborghini, he's not buying you, he's not showering you with blessings. And you say, this man is not a good husband. So it's just the same way in our workplaces. We must understand um what how to look for the right things in the people that we work with so that we are not constantly just assuming. So of course, but are there toxic bosses? Yes, all the way. Some bosses don't mind stepping on all the heads of the people that work with them as long as they are the only right person, as long as they are the only ones who are going to be hailed and applauded. There are people like that. It's the reality. But you must know when it comes to office policy, just to answer the second part of your question, the game is existent, but ensure that while you are not playing, while you are not joining them to play the game in a dirty way, understand the game so that you can properly position for it, so that you can shield yourself of their arrows. Arrows are flying by day and night in the organization. When I mean by day and night, when you get to the office, there are physical arrows they are shooting at you. There are invisible arrows they are shooting at night. So you must be properly on guard. Open your eyes. Don't let anybody use you for suya, all because you are naive. Put your ears on the ground, ask questions. There are sometimes you say, I don't gossip, oh, I don't talk about people, I don't gist. Inside that gist is where they would have said something that if you knew that thing, it will save you months and years of making mistakes, stepping on the wrong toe. So engage. All this, I don't even want to have any drama. I'm just on my own. You keep to yourself all the time. Things will happen you won't know. So I'm not saying go and gossip, but I'm saying just inquire, be curious, let your curious mind be at work. When they are saying things, you might not be participating, but if it's one ear you'll be using to hear, because that information can save you. I don't know how to put it without people misquoting me. What I'm just saying is don't believe that keeping to yourself all the time is what will get you by, because there are certain things that in doing your job, there are some things that are happening around you that like my friend says it, the more you look, the less you see. Some things will be happening like this. You don't realize that there's context, there's background behind what you are seeing. People are constantly coming to work and showing us a different version of what they are when they leave that work. So they
Mm,
are constantly having meetings and conversations. And when they all come and they are smiling, you will not realize this is how far they've taken such conversations. So just be aware. Should you be paranoid? No. I'm not saying be paranoid, but just ensure that you take everything that is said to you. Don't, is it, do they say with a pinch of salt, or don't
the
take it
pinch
with a
of
pinch of
salt.
salt? Take it with a
Take
pinch
it
of
with a pinch
salt.
of salt.
Don't be too
Yes.
believing, too trusting, too open, too everything. Take it with it. Just realize that it might not be how they said it. So just do your, you know, have your ways of double checking, fact checking. Yes, that's the word they use. Fact
Mm,
checking. And
absolutely.
also guide your sanity, guide your integrity, guide yourself from the
Mm.
games that people play.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll stop at that.
I feel like we should come back and just talk about this politics part alone and
Yeah,
emotional intelligence, because I feel like
yeah,
many people get burnt before they realize.
yeah,
When they realize,
yeah.
they're like, hey, what should I do? I know someone who, by virtue of the way she was talking at work, hired for the same role she was hired for. Yes, yes, in
What?
front of her.
Just
Nobody
the way
told her
she
that.
talk.
Yes, nobody told her that she should be going. So we
Wow.
were having a conversation, and she said to me, Neka, these things I'm hearing, I wish I knew them. Now I see why what happened will happen, because in the name
Hmm.
of giving gist, I was saying things
Hmm.
that was now were now used against me.
Yeah, so sad. So
So
sad.
even me, I'm like, every time I talk
Mm,
about my journey in my being in the career coaching, I remember that
yeah.
story like stays in my forefront. Like, how
Mm.
can you be in a job as in you're inside a work?
Inside, I like the way you say inside they walk.
I'm telling you, they now bring
Inside they
somebody
walk.
with same title, just maybe once, and you the work they're telling the person in front
Hmm.
of you,
Hmm.
and nobody has to tell you that it's time to. And that thing affected her career for a bit,
Oh,
because
so
you
sad.
leave. Where are you going?
Yeah.
How are you going to it was just not a very pleasant
Yeah.
experience altogether. So it's really
Yeah.
important to talk about emotional intelligence.
Mm.
We're very short, but short time. But let me just ask you about this question of
Yeah.
impact, right? Because
Yeah.
you just said you wanted to give back. You see, it
Mm.
just makes sense to me now here, and this is me being personal. That
Mm.
okay, this is the difference with her, that her community of volunteers and volunteerism is that large, because she comes from an angle of that impact.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
why. Tell us the what behind that, right? How
Mm.
did you come to that place of, this is what I want to do? Just talk us about that impact part of things, right? And
Okay.
then we'll begin to wrap up. Yes.
Yeah. Early on, very early, because in my university days, I used to listen to the likes of Philadelphia Toye, Nia, this one. I used to go for all those conferences where they talk and one thing that stuck with me is there are three kinds of life that you can live: a life of survival, a life of success, a life of significance. If there's anything that shaped how I see life, how I see myself, and how I see the kind of life I want to live, the world I want to live in, it is that I am a number three, I'm a category three kind of person. I want to live a life of significance because I want to be able to say, um, when I leave this world, I is also that thing where I say when I go to work, I want my impact to be felt. It's also
Hmm.
the way when I come to this world and I'm going back to my creator, my impact should be felt. I don't just want to be a consumer of all the good that other people have done. I want to be a
Hmm.
giver that good. I want people to benefit. So that's why giving like Kunle Remi will say, it means nothing to me. Giving, I just I there's a constant, it's a purpose thing. Is a it's just it's a purpose, it's a call. So I have 12 C's in my career. The first is clarity, the second is calling. So I'm also a very deeply spiritual person. So I also am able to connect with what God will have me do, what He wants. The calling is an anything I do, I treat it as an assignment. In my mentoring, and that's why I tell people I don't pick mentees anyhow. When people sign up for my mentoring academy, there's an application. I go through that application thoroughly. I have to connect in my spirit to you before I take you on board my mentoring academy. Because for me, I feel like I say that I'm sharing a piece of my life with you if I'm mentoring you because it's an assignment. I believe that. Oh, sorry, my phone.
Sorry.
Okay, I didn't plug it. It was about to die. I
Ah,
just plugged it.
thank
So
God.
that I take mentoring very seriously and as an assignment because I believe that when I'm mentoring your life, I'm literally life is like handed over to me. I'm supposed to stay the course of your life. You're going to make decisions because of what I said as your mentor. So I cannot mess that up. So I'm just giving an example of how for me everything I have, my community is an assignment. I am leading people. My leadership journey is an assignment. I'm leading people. I'm going to be giving advice and counsel. People are going to be coming to me, and they come to me a lot. And that's why every time I read a feedback or a testimonial that, oh, thank you, Chomotola, that thing that you said, I did it, and these were the results. I know that it wasn't me that spoke, it was the Holy Spirit. So I'm constantly asking for wisdom, for grace, how to steer conversation. So there's just always been that heavy burden that I don't just want to live my life anyhow. It's the same way I don't just want to go to work and work anyhow just because I'll earn a salary. Is and for a long time I've separated money from the things I'm chasing. That's why I could easily take a pay cut. I wanted fulfillment.
Yeah.
I wanted to pursue something I was deeply passionate about. I wanted to actually solve problems that I knew that I'll be solving problems. Is why I entered into HR. There's also the part where even in my consulting practice, I don't just do so when I have my clients, I'm supposed to do a job for you. It's not about the money you're going to pay me. And many of my consulting clients have given that feedback that the way I pour my heart into the work that I'm doing with them they almost wonder how do you do this in your time outside of work, and there is no clash because it's just like a miracle. How do I create time to teach? That is not another one. That's even another story in my classroom experiences, teaching in the two universities that I teach, there's always, at the end of every class, there's always that feedback that the way I took this course, the way I explained it, the way I poured my heart into it, it is obvious that for me, it is beyond just doing my job. It is about the
Hmm.
lives to impact. So that it is wired in my frame of mind and it cuts across everything I'm doing. And I say to people, I'm a deeply passionate person. There's also the downside though, because in being self-aware, I realized that because I'm deeply passionate, when people hurt me, people that I've really trusted, when people hurt me, it hurts so deep. I will carry that hurt. It will really, not that I won't forgive you, but it will
Yeah,
really
but
pain.
the
People
wound
be
is
like, ah,
there.
this small thing, why did they affect you this much? It's because I am deeply passionate. So the passion that I have makes me pour into people. It's the same way when I get something that breaks my heart or something that I wasn't expecting or I feel betrayed in any way. It hurts so deep because of the way I took that thing and that person. So I mean, there's both sides of the coin. But for me, the reason why I consistently pursue impact is it's just the way I grew up, it's the way I'm wired. I know that there's a reason I'm in this world is to make a difference. And in every way that I find possible, every opportunity that God will have me, I'm constantly embracing that calling and that assignment that I have.
Wow. Hmm. This is a full-on master class, and I know honestly we can get the next 1 hour and we won't even know. We can
Honestly.
get the next 1 hour and we will not know. But I'm not going to take
Honestly.
more of your time. I'm going to have to bring you back, to be honest, because I feel like there's a lot to unpack,
Yeah.
especially as amongst all my guests, you're one person so far who has really walked us through the nitty gritties and the downside of really
Mm.
going through being an employee, right? There are a lot of downsides, a lot of challenges, and just bringing them up and saying, see, I messed up here, or I match line,
Mm.
everybody hear it and sees it. That reality for me is just a very nice touch that we're going to have to bring you back. We'll take our time and
Yeah.
plan that. I don't want to
Yeah.
push too much, but what I want you to do is, as we wrap up now, to just leave last words for anybody as regards the place of your faith
Mm.
in your journey.
Mm.
I know that
Very
that's a very
important.
big question,
Very,
but I don't
very
want
big
to
question.
end because I've heard
Yeah.
you talk about it over and over again, and clearly
Mm.
it's an anchor for you. So I want you to
Mm-hmm.
talk about about your faith and how you find time, right, to
Mm.
actually, give time to your faith. Because you say everything I do is based on
Yeah.
instruction. I do because I
Yeah.
have received instruction. I do, I've heard that over and over again. So talk to us. How do you even hear this instruction, safe? Let's just touch
So
on that and then we'll
yeah.
call it an evening.
Yeah, so I like I said, I'm very intentional about the time that I give. I know that I lead a very busy life. So in fact, sometimes I feel guilty. I used to be very active in the choir prior to having my second child in 2019. For more than 15 years, I was very active. It's one of the places that I really gave my talent to God and all that. But post 2019, entering into 2020, being so it's been evident that, in fact, again, I changed churches, maybe that's why. And sometimes that thing tells me, now wow, you become too busy for God, you're not even required again. But I just ensure that I've now come to a place where I realize that um there's service unto God, or the relationship you're building with God. You just have to understand it. Understand that you yeah, how do I say it? I don't want to go too deep, but just not to take too much time talking about it,
It's
is
free.
that I've embraced relationship with the Holy Spirit, and I've understood how we speak to ourselves. And
Mm.
I've learned to constantly just walk with him. And I now realize over time that he even understands, because he's the one that constantly brings these opportunities my way. I was on my own when the first university reached out. I was on my own when the second university reached out, because at the time when I added lecturing to the things I do, I was already so busy. Somehow I added lecturing to it and I'm still fine. So I realized that I've now come to just accept that um how we interact with ourselves, that's me and the Holy Spirit, we are good. Much as possible, if I will still get back into being active in the choir, it would happen. So I don't beat myself too much about it. But the most important thing I want to say is, beyond church, beyond your pastor, beyond your choir people, beyond your church people, your relationship with the Holy Spirit is the most important one, because you can be
101.
doing all these things. You can be the pastor's favorite. You can be the biggest giver in church. You can be the loudest singer in church, but Holy Spirit still doesn't send you. So as long as that relationship is tight, prioritize that above any other thing. And that's why you must ensure that that time you spend with him, nothing touches it. Um, and how I know that God is deeply behind what I do is, explain to me how so many industry events are happening, physical industry events. I started mine last year and I had 32 sponsors. Like, make it make sense. The biggest companies you think about, Coca-Cola, Nestle, Romasidor, explain to me. So I've seen him do it. So why won't I serve him? And why won't I just hold him tight, like, oh, my life depends on this? It actually does. So I've
Yeah.
seen following him in my work with him continues to show up. The testimonies are out of this world. Even in my very tired state, someone will call me and say, please, I should do a mock interview with them. And I'll be so tired. I've had a very long day. There's nothing else I can give. But I struggle to do that 90 minutes mock interview. And 2 days later, I'm getting a testimonial. The person got the job. So I'm like, these things work. This labor is showing. We they work, it they show. We they pray,
It's
it they show.
true.
God is blessing what we are doing. So
Mm.
it's a big privilege. It's a big privilege to
Oh
do what I
wow,
do, and
wow,
it's also
wow,
a big
wow.
privilege. Sometimes I feel like I'm God's favorite. I'm at. I actually am. Really am. So it's really beautiful to just work with him and then see how he just blesses you.
Wow. Man. First of all, this has been the longest we have done. So
Oh,
we are ending season one on a bang. Thank you. It's episode 10. And
okay.
I've
It was
learned
10
it.
episodes in this season. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Is it recorded?
And
Is it
yes,
recorded?
it's
Okay. Okay.
recorded. Yes.
Awesome.
So it's
Awesome.
live on LinkedIn. It's on YouTube as well. So it's recorded on YouTube as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
And I've written 2 pages plus
Hmm.
of lessons from what you have been sharing. And we haven't
Yeah.
even discussed money at all in this
Hmm.
matter. So you are going to come back, Otomotola. You are going to come back, I beg. You are going to come
No,
back.
no
Because we've
problem.
not even touched your community work.
Hmm.
We've not even touched that one.
And there's
So
plenty there.
that's a
There's
different.
plenty there.
We've only just
Hmm.
walked your journey
Different ballgame.
in a
Yeah.
summarized
Yeah.
version till date. We haven't even
Yeah.
gone into the community
Hmm.
work. And one thing I'm learning from this conversation and having been at some of your events is also the power
Yeah.
of networking.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to
Absolutely.
talk about that as well because many people feel like they are going to work, they are minding their business. You know, I go to work, I just mind my
Mm-hmm.
business and I go back home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about the power of mentors? Because when I asked you impact, you said we listen to
Yeah.
certain people. So who we are
Yeah.
listening to as well is important. I'm asking myself,
Yeah.
Neka, talk about this thing, but again, sit back and ask yourself, who are you really listening to? So
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Let
Mm.
me not drag this any further. You have tried and given us 2 hours. I am so grateful. And
Thank
people
you.
are live. People have stayed live listening. And this
That's
is
it.
past 9 Nigerian time. They are here and they are listening. And I'm so
Awesome.
grateful. I don't take this for granted at all. And we will be
Thank
back.
you for
Thank you
having
very
me.
much. For those of
Thank
you
you
who
so
are
much.
here who aren't following the Motola yet, please go and follow her. You know, I like her story because she shares from a place from her heart. Not like
Mm.
saying it that way doesn't it sounds cliche. She shares from a place like I want you to walk in my shoe. I think
Mm.
that's the most colloquial way I can think of saying it, right? Having been
Yeah.
in your space for a bit. And I think it's so important that people get to experience. And that's why I'm doing this thing. That's why I'm intentional
Mm-hmm.
about who I get to invite, right? About
Mm.
that because it's important that people can connect with the story
Mm.
and feel
Mm.
seen as they hear,
Mm.
our guests on the
Mm.
show. So thank you very much for everyone who is
Thank
here. Thank you for staying through till this time because it's your being here that makes this make sense, and makes the
That's
sacrifice worth
okay.
it. Thank you so very much. I will be in
Thank
your
you.
DM later on, and then we'll have further conversations. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
My
you for
regards to your
having
family. Tell them thank you for
had a
allowing
good
me to
time.
be here with us.
Same
Thank you.
here.
Thank you.
Same
Bye,
here.
everyone. Take care of
Okay. Bye
yourselves.
bye.
Bye.